All right. Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of Painting with Victor Rigoli. I just wanted to do a quick video and talk about the tariffs that have been imposed on imports coming into the United States. This is going to have an impact on us as artists, where our brushes come from, our paint, our canvases, materials that we use in the making of our art. I was just doing some research and Googling uh, some trying to find some information on paint like Winsor Newton and Gamblin. My son, who's a student at the University of Georgia, I was talking to him earlier this evening, and he said, "Where are your paints manufactured?" And I was thinking, okay, yeah, they're manufactured in the United States. Because I use Winsor Newton and I use Gamblin. Well, I found out that Gamblin's manufactured in Portland, Oregon, but Winsor Newton, they're manufactured in France, and also they have an office in London, but they also do some manufacturing in China for that particular market there. Now, are some of those imported from China over to the United States? Who knows? It's possible. But anyway, those that may be coming from France are definitely going to be impacted with this tariff that's going on that the current administration has implemented. And so I got to thinking about not only our paints. Now I know there are some local companies, when I say local to the United States, that manufacture their paint here, like Blue Ridge Oil Company in North Carolina. But the artists that are in, and I know there's a couple over in Australia, New Zealand area, they're probably going to be impacted as well as to an export out could be charged in an increase in the cost. So I got to thinking about canvases. Now, if you go to the craft stores like Hobby Lobby and Michael's, I found out that some of the canvases that are made by Hobby Lobby are actually manufactured in Cambodia. And there are some that are done by Michael's that are in Vietnam. So that got me thinking about, okay, if I do go over to those particular stores and purchase a canvas, what's going to happen to the cost? So while I was just in there today looking at some canvases at Michael's, the cost seems to be pretty much what it was last week and the week before. But who knows what it's going to be in the future, in weeks to come as these tariffs roll out. And do these other companies negotiate, try to get the tariffs down? Do they remain in place? How much more is that going to be? But as well as I do, anytime a tariff is imposed on a company that manufactures something and it's shipped over here, and okay, there's a tariff put on it, who pays that tariff? We, the consumer of the United States, pays that tariff. It's just like if the government wants to raise the corporate tax rate. It's not like that company has millions of dollars just sitting over in a wheelbarrow saying, oh, okay, here, just give that extra to the federal government. No, they're going to pass that on in the cost of the product. They're going to raise the price of the product so that we are now paying more to offset their corporate increase in corporate tax rate. So unfortunately, there's a impact to us as artists with the supplies and materials that we need to create our art. And I thought about brushes as well. How many brushes that you have in your arsenal in creating beautiful artwork? How many of those come from a foreign manufacturer? Now, one of the good brush brands that's out there is Rosemary and Co. They're in the United Kingdom. Okay, so what kind of tariff is being placed on those items that are being imported into the United States? Think about some of the other brushes that you have. Now, I have some Winsor & Newton brushes. Now, I'd have to look and see, do a Google search and say, okay, where are those brushes manufactured? Probably somewhere overseas. Then you've got other brushes, Princeton brushes, other brushes that are manufactured. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of impact that's going to have. And so when you start buying your art supplies in the near future from places like Hobby Lobby, Michael's, maybe you get it online at Dick Blick's, or you order it from Jerry's Autorama. I can imagine there's going to be an increase in the cost of the art supplies, from paint to gesso to canvas to um, you know, brushes, things of this nature. And so, not only with as me as an oil painter, I'm going to be impacted, and unfortunately, as my cost of materials goes up, I have to pass that on to consumer as well. Okay, so it's going to have a negative impact on us as artists. So I just wanted to put this video out there and just make artists aware that, we're not isolated. We don't work in a vacuum. We're not in this little bubble, that we are being impacted by these tariffs that are being implemented and have been implemented. And I hope they eventually go away. And I hope that, it would be great if a lot of the products, supplies, materials that we use can be manufactured more in the United States, like Gamblin oil paint is created and manufactured in Portland, Oregon, which is great. And then, there's Blue Ridge oil paint, and that's there in North Carolina. So there are some. So we're going to have to be more selective. We're going to have to look at, what's the cost, what kind of impact does it have on my bottom line? Can I get products or supplies or materials as quickly as I may have done in the past? Are there going to be things that are held up as a result of, products not being available, or they're not allowing them to come into the country and things of that nature? So, there's going to be some negative impact. So I just want to give a heads up to all the artists out there and say, be prepared. Be prepared that you're going to see an increase in the cost of materials. And it's unfortunate, and I hate that. I really do. It's just like I said earlier, anytime the federal government raises the corporate tax rate, and the federal government's got to know this, and they know this. Why they do it, I don't know. But anytime they raise the corporate tax rate and increase it, then that's just passed on to the consumer. And it's just like with these tariffs and the cost of goods and services, they're going to pass that on because they want to make a certain amount of profit. They want to maintain that profit margin. And I get it. I want to do that too. So if I'm charging, $500 for a painting, a commission, that same commission might go up to $600. It might go up to $550. It may go $575. It all just kind of depends. It's all relative. And so these are some of the things as an artist you need to take into consideration going forward. So as your costs increase, so does the cost of that product that you produce. So keep that in mind going forward. It might be wise to try to stock up on some of the brushes and paint and different material supplies that you're currently using. If it goes up in the future, then hey, good for you. If it doesn't, then that's okay too, because you'll use those things. You haven't really lost anything. These are supplies that you will eventually use, and there's no harm in going ahead and stocking up and having increasing your inventory. But it would be wise to do so, I think, so that you are in a position to where when they do go up, hey, you're ahead of the curve. It's not going to impact you that bad. So just wanted to pass this on to you guys. Hopefully it won't have a negative impact on you, but just be aware. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out my video here on Painting with Victor Rigoli. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much.